All right, Coach, coming off of a big win at UTEP, you guys go on the road and finish in the last couple of minutes.
Mhm.
Again, we talked about after the Middle Tennessee game, finishing, playing 4 quarters. You guys able to go right down the field and get that field goal at the end.
Yeah, very proud of the guys again for what we try to do. Our goal is to play 60 minutes in a game. It's 60 full minutes in a game. It's not 48 minutes. It's not the first 15. It's 60 minutes, and we don't look at the scoreboard. The only thing we look at is the time. Doesn't matter what the score is. You should play the same, whether you're up by 25 or you're down by 25. We should never know because that's the way we should play. You got to give their team a lot of credit. They're a good football team. They've lost some close games this year. Um, they've got good players. So I give their guys a lot of credit for playing. It wasn't anything that our guys didn't expect. We didn't think it was going to be easy. We didn't expect it to be easy. But I like the way our guys executed. Do we have some things we got to clean up? Absolutely. You talk about the 2 minute situation at the end of the game. That's one of the things that our guys take pride in. If you come and watch it, you've watched our Thursday practices, and the last thing we do in a Thursday practice is a 2 minute drill, and it's good on good. It's the one offense against the one defense, and we do different situations. And sometimes we need a touchdown, sometimes we need a field goal. But I think once you put people in those situations and they become comfortable in those situations, I was first of all really impressed with our players, but more our coaching staff and our support staff, everybody, our trainers, our managers. When we got the ball with 2 minutes left, it was like, all right, this is what we're supposed to do. And when you play in conference and you play on the road, you got to be ready. You got to play the whole game. So I'm proud of our guys for that. I'm proud for them fighting, and we got another challenge this week.
Exciting matchup coming up on Saturday in prime time. Share some thoughts on what you've seen out of Kennesaw during your prep.
Well, first of all, I think Coach Mack has done a really good job. They are very well coached on offense, defense, and in the kicking game. Offensively, Coach Mack and his staff have experience with Josh Heupel, who I got a ton of respect for. They've been in that style of offense. They're up tempo. They're going to stretch the field. They want to create explosive plays, and we've got to be able to match their intensity, match their speed. Defensively, and let me say, offensively, they got good players. They got two capable quarterbacks. They got good running backs. This number one, uh, he's a really good player. Binyard, his brother, also plays there. I knew a little bit about him, because he had been there before with Coach Bohannon, so I knew a little bit about some of those guys that were there. But they got good players, and then defensively, they're very sound. From a scheme standpoint, they're very similar to what we do. They're very, they play multiple fronts. They're good in their split safety coverage. They'll drop a safety down in the box, try to give you a run disadvantage, make you have to throw the ball. And then on special teams, they're explosive in the return game. They returned, in fact, they had a turnover for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown in the UTEP game. I mean, that's where 14 of their points came from. So, they're very well coached in all three phases, and this is what our guys, you know, came to Jax State for, is to be able to play in games like this. And but my message to them and my message to our coaches is this: at the end of the day, it's still going to be about disciplined execution. It's going to be how we execute. It doesn't matter what time you play. It doesn't matter where you play at. You've got to do the same things to be successful. And that's what we started working on that Sunday night, and we'll be working on again this afternoon.
All right, we'll take some questions. We'll start here with Max, and we'll go to Mark.
Um, Cam's been, I mean, I don't know if slowed's the right word, but like, it seems like maybe he's not been where he has been earlier in the year. Just how do you, is that just maybe teams are keying in
No,
on it?
I think he's been more dominant the last 2 weeks. I think he's been a lot more dominant. When you put 9 people in the box and you still have over 100 yards a game, they know that we are going to give the ball to Cam Cook. And they put 9 people in the box and he still has over 100 yards. That's the sign of a great player. The guys that, you know, when they don't know that you're getting, and then they slip up and get 100 yards, that's a good play. But when they know that he's the guy and he still get, to me, that shows his greatness. To me, that is why he is one of the best players in college football. I don't care what league he plays in, and I think his teammates will agree. We mentioned it last week. The national media is not taking it on. It doesn't matter where you play at. It should be a judge of, you know, this. And, okay, if I'm on, you know, and Scotty knew it. We knew y'all were going to give the ball to number 9. And even in the Middle Tennessee game, it's boom, 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 and then now, you know, explode. And I think that's the sign of a great player. I had an opportunity to be around some really good backs in my past. You know, Dalvin Cook. I think about Dalvin. I think about Najee Harris. I think about, you know, B-Rob. I think about guys I played with. I mean, that you guys are too young to remember, but everybody in the stadium knew they were getting the ball, and it didn't matter. You gave it to them, they went anyway. When Emmitt Smith played, everybody knew he was getting the ball, and he still had his 100 yards. It's hard to gain 100 yards in a football game rushing. So I think, you know, I know it may not look from a numbers standpoint like he is having the dominant performance, but I think when you look at what people are doing to us defensively and still being able to do what he's doing, I think he's playing pretty good.
Mark?
You guys have only given up 10 sacks in 9 games. Mm-hmm. Could you talk about what role the offensive line is in that, and also Caden's ability to deal with pressure?
Yeah. Well, I think I think when you talk about protection, there's 3 things that go into protection. First of all, it starts with the offensive line. They take a lot of pride in it. I think working good on good, the way we work in practice, you know, they know we're going to go good on good today. We're going 1s versus 1s, and we're going to go 2s versus 2s. We're going to do it in team run. We're going to do it in team. We're going to do it in pass rush, you know. So they're going against each other. Iron sharpens iron, so I think that helps. I think the O-line has done a good job. I told them the other day in the meeting, hey, it doesn't matter who we put in there. Everybody knows what to do, and you just got to play. You know, you either make excuses or make adjustments. You pick what you want to do, and they've done a good job of that. I do think the running backs are important in protection. I think when you can run the football, that keeps people from pinning their ears back and saying, all right, here we go. You know, I'm going to play the run on the way to the pass. I wish they would play Cam that way. I really do, but they're not going to. And also the backs in protection. You know, our backs do a good job in protection of picking, you know, when people try to blitz us and people picking those people up. I think they do a really good job of that. And then the quarterback, the ability to process and see, and then when it's not there, you know, you got to, it's a sense that you got to have, okay, I got to have a clock in my head. All right, 1, 2, 3. Cam not going to be able to block him 5 seconds. It's 1, 2, 3. All right, we either got to go or I got to get rid of the ball. When you watch guys in the NFL that have played for a long time, and I mean long periods of time, like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, those people, that the thing that they all have in common is they have that clock in their head. They know I got to get rid of this thing right now. I'm not taking a sack. I'm not going to force a bad throw. So I think all those things work together, and I think that helps the protection. Okay.
Mac. We were talking about the 9-man fronts. Even as the passing game has improved, you guys are seeing more and more 9-man fronts. What is the plan to maybe try to get away and force the defense to play you guys maybe 7 up so Cam can get back to just fully dominating with 200 yards, 3 touchdown games?
Well, again, when you throw when you have an 80-yard play over the top, and you hit a few of those, and that's what happened the other day. We hit them early in the game, things started loosening up, and that's when we got back where we could, where we could run. I think sometimes it's like coaches. We get used to, we think it's the norm just for a player to have 200 yards. That's an anomaly in football. But we would love to have it that way. I do think with some of our, I think DeAndre's getting better. He's getting more consistent. Brock's getting more consistent. Gabe Glover is getting more consistent. Tyron can tell you there are a lot of these younger guys that are getting better. And one of the things that I told our coaches on offense, we got to take what they give us. We got to be patient. I thought they had an excellent game plan on Saturday. Whatever they give us, take. And sometimes it may be somebody chasing Cam, and then it's Lando or Likely or somebody else. So I think we got to be. It's not just the passing game; it's utilizing other people too.
Let's go to Paris and back up to Mark.
Yep.
I think they lead the league in sacks
Mhm.
and tackles for losses. Do they bring a lot of people?
No, they don't. They're not a big pressure team. They've got their pressures that they bring. They'll bring some simulated pressures. They'll create a 5-man, some 5-man pressures. But they make you be patient. They make you drive the ball. They don't take a lot of chances and, where you get a lot of free shots down the field. Now, they may play us differently, with our running backs. I don't know. But I think their front four does a good job. They understand protections. They understand the slides. So I think that's where a lot of their, tackles for loss and their sacks have come from.
Second part, their numbers aren't great for a team that's won 7 in a row and 7-2. I mean, offensively, defensively, about middle of the pack overall. When you look at them, what jumps? I mean,
they're very
why are they?
They're very consistent. They're very consistent, and they, like we pride ourselves on, they have competitive stamina as well. It's numbers in this game, and there's a lot of things that statistics tell you, but there are a lot of things that statistics lie to you about too. And I can't remember which game it was. Maybe the Georgia Southern game, or maybe the Southern Miss. I can't remember exactly, but I made the comment to Donnie. I said, that's why you don't look at statistics. I said, we had more yards, we gave up less yards, but at the end of the game, we lost the game. Because it's how you play situations. Guys can get a lot of yards through, if you drive from the 25 to the 25, but you play good red zone defense and you hold people to field goals, you're going to win more games than you lose. But it doesn't look that great on the stat sheet because you give up 400 yards, on defense. Same token on offense. I mean, look at Sam Houston beating Oregon State the other night. If you just looked at the statistics, you'd say there's no way they won that game, but they did because they played situations really well. 2-minute situations. If you take football games and you break them down, where the game is won is on third and fourth down now, because, more people are going for it. And actually, it's a good risk to go for it. But more people are going for it on fourth down. But third and fourth down, red area, and 2 minute. 2 minute at the end of the half and 2 minute at the end of the game. Because if you can steal a score right before halftime, like they wanted the ball the other day. So we did a good job on the first drive of getting the 3 and out. And then, or I think it may be 6. They got one first down. Then they punted. Then we got a touchdown. Well, even though they came back, that 2 minutes before the half is so important because if you can get momentum right there, keep them from scoring, you get some points. Now you got the ball coming back out in the second half. And, So those 2 minutes at the end of the half, those are critical. So that's why you see a lot of teams that maybe aren't statistically, where everybody is, but they don't, because you can play great in a game. I remember Jimbo used to say it when I was with him at Florida State all the time. You can play a great football game and play situations bad and you're going to lose. You can statistically, you can have all these passing yards, all these rushing yards. On defense, you can slam the door shut, from a yardage standpoint. You give up 2 big plays, you lose a game. And that's kind of what, and we've kind of taught our players that, we practice that way. We work situations, we work those things.
Let's go to Mark.
On the offensive line, you guys have had to make a lot of adjustments all year. Could you discuss the value of Cam, the fact that he can play 3 different positions and started at 3 different positions?
Well, the only thing I haven't played him at yet is quarterback and wide receiver. I mean, he could play tight end. He's very multiple. But I think that is one of the things that we talk to guys about when we recruit them here is the more multiple you are, the more value you create for yourself. The more things that you can do and do well. That's not easy to do. It takes a special player to be able to do that because you are processing different information. Because this is a process game. It's when I'm at tackle, it's different than playing center. When I'm at guard, it's different than playing tackle. Yeah, we all put it in as O-line, but it's different. Your steps are different. Where your eyes are different. It's the same thing when in the secondary. You can Tyron plays nickel when we go to third down, but he plays on the outside. Well, he can tell you real quick, it's a lot different being in that slot than it is out on that wide receiver. But when you got players that can do multiple things, that helps create value for them and the rest of our team because it gives Coach Trickett the opportunity to move people around. But he is one of the few guys at his age that I've seen that has been able to do it and do it at a high level.
All right, we'll wrap up with Tommy.
Coach, we spoke a little bit about this on Saturday, the Conference USA. You've been involved in a lot of different conferences and just the competitiveness top to bottom each and every week. Talk a little bit about this conference as a whole.
Yeah, well, and I think I mentioned to you after the game, and I do mean this. I love this conference. I love the coaches in this conference. I do. I think there are some very good football coaches. I mean, I didn't know a lot of those guys, until I got here. I knew a few of them, just crossing paths throughout my career. But, I mean, every week, everybody is so well coached. And everybody's going to have good players. Everybody we play, even the teams that don't have great records, I mean, you look at the losses that they've had, 30 or 40 seconds, it could have been a different way. And no different than any other conference. There are other great conferences in the country that are competitive. The SEC, the Big Ten, ACC. Those are competitive conferences. Well, I'll put ours up against anybody when it comes to competition because you got to come ready to play every week. That is a tribute to the coaches as well as the players in this league. There are a lot of good players in this league. And you got to be ready to play every week. And it is fun. I think our commissioner, she's done unbelievable. I mentioned it earlier in the year, we lose a team and then we pick up Delaware, and I told somebody this weekend, I was like, isn't it crazy? I said, UConn beats Duke and Delaware beat UConn and didn't just beat them. I mean, it wasn't just a fluke. I mean, it was a real win. That just shows you the competitiveness. We got our team in our league that hasn't won a game. And it's not because they don't play good and they don't have good coaching. Phil Longo's a good coach. You go all the way to the West Coast and beat Oregon State, and everybody says, well, Oregon State's down. I don't care who's down. That's hard to do for anybody. So my hat's off to the coaches in this league as well as the players in this league. I got a lot of respect for the kids that play in this conference.
Cam, we'll start with you. Coach kind of alluded to it. You've played guard, center, and tackle this year. Started at all three positions.
Yes, sir.
Where does that versatility come from?
It just comes from like even back in my freshman year, Coach Trickett, he believed in me, put me in multiple positions, and I think just practicing in multiple positions just helped me be more comfortable in it to playing games. So, it started with Coach Trickett, just believing in me and believing I could play anywhere on the O-line.
Tyron, secondary, very talented, not a ton of game reps amongst that group coming in. How have you seen that group grow as a whole over these last 9 games?
I mean, each and every day in practice, they got a lot of expectations for us in practice. So the pressure they put us in practice, that helps us with the game reps and everything like that. And, just seeing the guys, come in every day, no matter their playing time, position, or anything like that, just putting a chip on their shoulder and going to work every day is big because a lot of those guys don't have a lot of game reps. So seeing that they, just love the process and, just waiting on their time to come is big, especially for me seeing them.
We'll open it up to questions. Max?
Cam, what are the challenges as an offensive line group just when you have to go against those 9-man fronts? Obviously, you're bringing in maybe some more people, but just for you guys, how much does that change the game plan? And then I had one for Tyron after.
I think we just, we know that we're going to get that with the backs that we have, but, we just prepare for that every week. Like I said, Coach Trickett, he does a great job of putting us in position to, be able to handle the 9-man boxing and things like that. I mean, it may start off a little rocky, but we just keep going with the run and, we know that our backs are going to make us right, you know what I'm saying? So I think that, that just helps us.
And then just what did you kind of see on Caleb's interception? And just is that one of the things, if one of you guys gets an interception for a touchdown, is it kind of like the whole group kind of feels like you guys got one, or just what is that like?
Yeah, it does. So I noticed my wide receiver had a cut split, and he was the only receiver over there. So I know, with the cut split that he had, he can only really have 1 or 2 options and basically go across the field, especially with their quarterback rolling out to the right side. That's where he liked to make a lot of his throws. So once I noticed like it was an overroute and he wasn't returning, just got on his top side shoulder like Coach Gaines teaches us. And, as soon as I got in good position where I could touch him, I was looking at the quarterback to see where he was going to place the ball at, and I noticed it was high. So the receiver jumped, I went through his hands, and then it landed in Caleb's hands. But if you look at it on film, I fell. So I didn't know where the ball was at and why everybody was running. And I seen Caleb taking it down the sideline, and, I just went and celebrated it with him.
Great. Let's go to Mark.
Cam, being able to play so many different positions, but center especially is a tough position to do because you have to handle the snap. Had you played center before you got to college?
No, sir. I never played center. I played guard and tackle, but never center.
How'd you learn to play the position?
Like I said, just practicing it. Even back in my freshman year when Trey Brown was here as our center, like he taught me things, taught me different calls, and I just always learned from guys that were in front of me, because I wanted to be that guy that was versatile, be able to play all over the line. So, that's, I just wanted to learn it, and then finally being able to practice it and things like that, it just made me more comfortable with the calls and different things like that. So that was a big thing for me.
For both players, you've got an exciting game coming up Saturday. ESPN picked it up for one of their platforms. You both are undefeated in the league. What's the feeling among you guys and the team of just having a chance to play a game that's catching attention, not just within Alabama and Georgia?
It's exciting. It's a big game. It's exciting. They're a great team and we're a great team also. So it's just exciting. I mean, we're ready to play this game. We're ready to go to work this week and get better and play.
I would say we're more than ready to play. We're prepared, and if you love football, this is what you sign up to do and everything. So I mean, we're just excited to go out there and show what we can do.
What do you guys like about playing at home?
The fans.
To be honest, home or away, I just love playing football. So, but I mean, playing here is great as well because it's like a real big atmosphere. Everybody comes out to watch it, and Kelly, he's gonna pack it out every time. So I love it.
All right, wrap it up with Mark.
Do you guys like playing at 7:00?
Like I said with the last question, it doesn't matter like if we're home, away, what time it is. And then with our practice schedule, we practice in the morning sometimes. We practice in the afternoon, especially during camp. So whenever they're ready to line up the ball, we're ready to play.
Same. It really doesn't matter when we play. We just want to go out there and play and have fun.